So is David Montgomery growing on me for 2023 fantasy football? This is the Fantasy Sports Boss. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Now, in terms of Montgomery, over the last couple of years with the Chicago Bears, he's been arguably one of the more boring players in the game. Just a very uninspiring player, even though he was carving out a workhorse role on some really bad Chicago teams. But, workload is key in fantasy football, and despite his 3 yards in the cloud of dust approach, Montgomery had proven himself to be a very good in-between tackles runner, a solid goal line guy, and also a very capable receiver, which went back to his college days as well, where he caught a lot of passes. And then this past offseason, of course, he signs with the Detroit Lions, who allowed Jamal Williams and his 17 rushing touchdowns to depart. And right off the bat, it looked like, wow, Montgomery's actually in a really good spot now on an ascending Detroit team, one of the best offensive lines in the league. But then they go out and draft Jahmyr Gibbs. And that, right off the bat there, once the draft was over, the thinking was, okay, now Montgomery, let's just move away from him. Jahmyr Gibbs was drafted so high for a reason. He's going to be the guy in Detroit, even though they traded DeAndre Swift quickly to the Philadelphia Eagles after making the selection. However, if you really sit back and you look at this a little bit more in depth, I still think that both Montgomery and Gibbs can hold really good running back 2 value in PPR leagues. And Montgomery in standard leagues is a low-end running back 2 as well. So the way I envision it, and I think really how the Lions envision it, is that Gibbs will be what they wanted DeAndre Swift to be last season. In other words, he'll catch 50-plus passes out of the backfield, probably net about 100 carries, while Montgomery will get 200-plus carries and almost all the goal line work. So Jahmyr Gibbs, here's the thing about Gibbs, folks. If you go back to his tape in college at Alabama, he caught a ton of passes. He was an explosive player, but he did not get a lot of work around the goal line. That's because he's a smallish back. I guess you could classify him almost as a scat back. And the Lions knew this, and that's why they signed Montgomery to that deal, likely planning to draft Gibbs as well. So Montgomery is going to get all the goal line carries, and that resulted in 17 touchdowns for Jamal Williams, who is not the running back that David Montgomery is. So if you're in that zero running back strategy going into your draft, you could get David Montgomery in the 5th round, maybe even the 6th, because the industry is so far down on him, because Gibbs is the new shiny toy that everybody wants, especially in PPR leagues. But I think Montgomery can still catch 30 passes out of the backfield. He's, again, proven himself a good receiver, and he can he can score 12-plus touchdowns on the ground, because the Lions like to run it around the goal line, all right? They're not a heavy passing team around the goal line. And they really, other than Amon-Ra St. Brown, they don't have a lot in terms of targets for Jared Goff. So I think David Montgomery looks like a really shrewd investment. If you stock up on receivers early, you take your tight end early, I think Montgomery, along with Aaron Jones, in the 3rd round, Ramondre Stevenson, Travis Etienne, these are the backs. Rachaad White, those are the backs that really bring forth very good workloads, the potential to really outproduce their draft spots. So David Montgomery is now on my list as a prospective investment for 2023 fantasy football. Again, guys, hit the subscribe button. More videos like this on the way soon. Also, make sure you pick up my 2023 Fantasy Sports Boss Draft Guide, available on Amazon.